Hey guys, it's Samantha here from the Boutique Hub, and I'm so excited. We were trying to go live. We couldn't go live, but we were going to record the information anyway. And if you have questions about this recording that you wanted to ask during the live, you can drop them in the comments. But we are here today with two people that I want to introduce you to. First of all, the Boutique Hub has grown by a new member, and I want to introduce you to Maya. Maya, go ahead and tell us a little bit about you.
Hey everyone, I'm brand new to the team. Today is, I think, my third day on the job. I'll be assisting Samantha out of Atlanta. And yeah, so I've been in the business for probably about 7 years now. And I'm just really excited to get started with the Boutique Hub.
Awesome. We are so happy to have you here. I'm very, very excited. So yeah, Maya's going to be working in Atlanta and then coming to Dallas too. So she'll be, we'll be splitting the job in half, and she'll be helping in all the ways too. So she'll be another person that you can reach out to for any needs for your wholesale brand account. And today we have a special guest. This is Christina, and she is with Oka-B. Christina, give us a little introduction.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Christina. Oka-B is one of the footwear brands, and we're also out of Atlanta. So that's always fun, as we're one of the Made in USA companies. I've been in the wholesale side of the industry for only about 4 years. But before that, I had a lot of experience in retail, just from actually selling the product when I was working as entry level and then working my way as a consultant. So I used to go and travel across the country and help boutiques, small boutiques, resorts, kind of improve their boutique area, the brands they carried. And one of my trusted vendors was Oka-B, which is what got me here today. So it's been fun. I've been able to see all different sides, especially with selling this brand. And I think it's been helpful.
So we're going to cover several different topics today. One of the main reasons that I wanted to bring Christina on was that she had the idea and the insight recently that there is a better way to sell once you've gotten your product into the store, that to improve sales actually from the store is about educating the boutique personnel and kind of how that can help with the sell-through. So I definitely want to talk about that today. And then also just kind of touch on some of her other experiences in the wholesale world and how things have changed with COVID as everything else has. So I know you told us a little bit about Oka-B. Can you give us a little more information kind of about the brand, the product line, maybe like what it retails for, just a little bit of background?
Absolutely. So Oka-B is a footwear line that started actually in the spa industry. So we were locker room sandals in the very beginning. They are incredibly comfortable, but they're durable, which is, I think, where we shine, is that it's like functional fashion. And we have men's sandals as well, but our primary audience is definitely the woman who is looking for something that's cute, that is unique, and has just like that special flair. They probably have a pair of shoes for almost every outfit, and definitely often go to resorts or spas or small boutiques. So it's someone who they shop for fun. And I think that's something that a lot of us have in common with our customer.
Yeah. And then, I know you said you got a lot of sandals. So is it more of a seasonal sale, or do people carry this year round? How does that go?
A lot of them carry it year round. And a big part of that is because of the style. Because I mean, granted, you may not wear them at home year round, but a lot of our audience does travel a lot. And so you want that cute pair of turtle flip-flops when you go to the beach, especially for snowbirds. So it's just nice to have it. And there's a whole audience of people who wear sandals year round unless it's snowing. But we have ballet flats. I don't think it's quite our bread and butter, so to speak, but house shoes and flip-flops, I would say 9 months out of the year, it's pretty busy.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, and probably Maya, you can attest to this. Living in the South, you're right. We wear flip-flops and sandals year round. I'm gonna say in Texas, except for that snow that we randomly got this year. Yes, I'm happy to have my feet in something comfy and where they can breathe. So that's awesome. So tell us a little bit, like you said, you do a lot of sales with people. Like we said, at the resort, customers are great. And then, like you said, everywhere else, people want those comfy shoes year round. How have you noticed changes as far as in your sales since COVID? I mean, of course, everybody's seen a change, but what would you describe kind of with the retail and the wholesale side since COVID for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think the changes have been full circle, and they're so case by case. It seems like everyone, yeah, we're all like the common pulse is our buyers are tired, they're working longer hours than normal. I mean, I think that's the biggest common, and shipping and getting shipments to arrive on time. But really it comes into, I think our biggest change, it went from, just talking about the product to then really talking about the health and well-being of their customers and what's changing in their community.
Mhm.
And I mean, I think there's like one of the silver linings of this last year is having the time as, as a brand to be able to, really talk for 10 minutes and maybe just talk about what's happening with their mayor or something.
Mhm.
Because I mean, hardships have been from when hours are closed or you can't find employees. And so I want to say there's a commonality, but at the same time, I think there's just so much that's particular, especially with small business. I mean, one of the beautiful things about small business is that it's not cookie cutter.
Mhm.
And I think that's been our biggest challenge, is really having the time and being able to meet the one-on-one needs and
Okay. Yeah.
doing it efficiently, because they're still working if they're short staffed. So
Yes. Yeah. So then would you say, so, as you went into COVID and now we're coming out, did you move a lot of your sales calls to Zoom? How were you communicating with your customers through everything?
So we did some Zoom. We recorded 2 like virtual trade show videos with the whole group, which was nice. But a lot of it has been phone calls. And
Mhm.
so we definitely have been keeping it still old school in that way. Of course, some emails, but a lot of people just, if they have time to talk on the phone, they want to. And
Mhm.
so catching them on the phone, if this isn't a good time, like when is a good time? Because I don't want to inconvenience them. But I think that's where you get that personable touch. A lot of them, when I've offered to set up Zooms or videos, I would say 8 times out of 10, they say, "Can you just give me a call?" So
Mhm. I
it's
think
just
that's so,
your
yeah.
need.
I think that's so important to remember, because I think sometimes, as a wholesale brand, we get into like, I'm going to send the email, check the box, be done. And same thing, like you think, oh, is that going to inconvenience someone if I call them? But you're right. Is this a good time to talk? And if it's not, they will tell you, and they'll tell you when's a better time. So I think that's a good piece of advice, just for creating that personal relationship. One of the things the reason why I really wanted to talk to you was because I know that you said that your company has really moved into doing more brand education once you've made the sale. So they bought the shoes and now they've got them in their store. And now the most important thing is the sell through, of course, so they'll come reorder. So how are you helping them with that piece?
So we've been doing, I think what's pretty standard, like the one pagers, where we'll send out a nice like printed graphic with their order to remind like their staff how, like, what the benefits are of the products, or like the story of the brand. And we keep that going. I mean, it's nice, especially when you have a lot to share. Like Oka-B is a great product, but it's also like vegan, sustainable, almost zero waste, family owned, local. Like there's so much to love
Mhm.
that if it's not concise, it gets overlooked. So the one pagers, I mean, that's been pretty consistent, but what we're finding is, especially with, all the turnover people have had over the years, or the last 2 years, I mean, they may only have an employee for 3 months before they quit, unfortunately. And so it's like, how do you share that love and that story with a person who may not be as committed, and how do you maybe help them be committed by allowing them to not only, yeah, you sell product at a store, but maybe you sell a product you believe in, and how do you get them to believe? And so one pagers don't seem to be that
Mhm.
anymore. So we've been brainstorming, and we've come up with a few ideas. I would say the common, and a lot of these, personnel they're younger in age. And so it's definitely more modern. Like, I mean, TikTok really changed a lot, I feel like, because you want efficient, fast, to the point, but attractive information.
Mhm.
And they want it to be something not printed on a piece of paper usually. And so that's kind of where we're at right now. And we've been talking about the last few months. And we definitely think like the brands going live is important,
Mhm.
even if it's just for targeted to your consumer audience, because the people who sell your product are also on that audience or on that page. Like they will see it and they sell your brand because they like it.
Mhm.
So making sure that you have, that Facebook Live element, even if it's just, oh my gosh, look at these new shoes. We're going to be shipping them next week, whatever, like just keeping them excited and engaged. And then also we were talking today just with like QR codes. I feel like, the last I say pre-COVID were kind of not well used. I would say they weren't quick to scan and see what was happening. But now that you go to a restaurant and the menu is a QR code taped to your table, even people who are maybe a little less technologically savvy, which is usually our audience, or usually a little bit older, not the young ones, but they're using it now, and it's becoming more of a norm. And so we were thinking, like, what if, the brands had like a cute little QR code on the hang tag or something, and it was like maybe a website to help them find the perfect fit, because the employee may not have time to learn all the different various sizing. Does this run small? Does this run large? But they want to help the customer, but you also need the customer they might try on 3 things to find the perfect fit, but if it's not perfect after 3, they usually walk away.
Right.
And so we've been playing around with the idea of, is it a QR code? Is it something similar that allows more of the brand to consumer relationship happen at the store, but in a way that is an elevated service for the employee? So
I like that.
It's in discussion, but yeah, it's the quickest way we can find. And I think that there's a lot of, from the brand point of view, a lot of advertising opportunity in a way that's not hard advertising, but it's helpful, it's curated well, designed well. And I think it would reduce returns. I mean, you'd be able to really get the right fit, or if you're getting this for your daughter and she normally wears this, but she has a narrow foot, or she needs longer inseam or what have you. I mean, you would be able to have that set up without it's just a shorter conversation. It would allow the employee to then go to the next customer and provide a tailored service quicker, which is what we're also doing as brands.
Yes. Well, what we've talked about several times in the past couple of days with different brand conversations we've had is that you're really looking to partner with your boutique. And instead of seeing them necessarily as like, this is my customer, it's buying shoes, this is my partner. And so part of that partnership is going to be helping them sell through. And so now you're giving them the tools, your partner, the tools. You're saying, these are the things that are going to work for you so that you can sell the goods you bought from me so that you'll return to me and buy again. So I would say, like right now, I'm hearing if anybody, as you guys are watching and taking a list, to create that partnership, there's different things you can do. And one of the things you're saying is like a hang tag with the QR code, or even if, it was on a display near where your shoes were, it was a framed QR code, interested in, finding out more, having that near your product. And so, as our wholesale brands that are watching this, like we said, if you're not able to add that to a tag, that could definitely be something that you send with an order for the store, to have on display. That's a great idea. I love that.
Because you can put it on like a print collateral too. I mean, and it's people know what to do. You don't even need instructions anymore. And so that helps.
Right. Yes. We've all learned. Anybody that's been to a restaurant has learned how to use that QR code and to use it well. That's great. So are there any other, I'm saying, I want to, you jump in if you've got any comments, because I talk. Besides the QR code, how else are you guys educating the store employees? Like you said, you're gonna give them the one page, you can do a QR code. What else are you doing for those employees?
So we've done others, and really it comes into having that relationship with the buyer and knowing, what works for them and their team, or having them like actually notify you when they have new employees. But seeing if like contests, some people are really prize motivated. And so if the buyer's like, we normally sell X amount of pairs, or this is what this person normally sells, so we'll increase it a couple and say, like, hey, for the month of August, everyone sells, 8 pairs. Whoever sells the most, minimum is 8. You'll get, a free pair of shoes for you and a friend.
That's awesome.
And we'll include it ideally with their next reorder, because they've sold so many. But it's one of the things is to get someone to really love the products. They really have to wear it. And especially if they can wear that at work, but having that element, especially when it's a cute, catchy item. So, I mean, even if it's like a specific item you want to promote, because when someone I'll get distracted, But when someone compliments you on your shirt or your dress or your shoes, it's typically something that is unique. And they often ask, where did you get that? So even if it's not at the store, it then has the employee going out and saying, I got it where I work and it's, XYZ, and I love that it's a women-led company, or like whatever it is that speaks to them. So it comes full circle. It's definitely like, I don't know, I forget the saying, but it's not a race, I suppose. But when you can keep that relationship and get them to wear the product, they may quit in a month, and that's like a reality, but oftentimes they go and work somewhere else. And so we see that a lot, especially, boutique industry, there's not as much transition as in the spa and resort industry, but there's a lot there. And we often have people just call us like, hey, my employee, I know I just hired, she loved your brand. She said, we have to sell these. And then it's a new business. And it's like one that we didn't even have to do a lot of legwork in, but they already have a relationship. So it's consistency, it's finding what works for the person. And that starts with a phone call. It starts with you know them, but it might not, if it's not a contest, we find, we don't really do gift cards. We've played around with like, maybe it's a Starbucks gift card, but it's not at that point. It's either a free pair of shoes or they're not gonna be motivated for a cup of coffee. We've done like virtual meetings and such, and we've definitely tried, especially when there were more events happening. If we knew there was a trade show that we couldn't attend, we would see if, or like some type of wellness event where our audience would be, we would see if we could sponsor shoes. Like if there's going to be like robe and slippers, like we would try to just get in there as well. Just getting someone to wear the product who might one day is really
Those are awesome ideas though. Yes. Of really, like you said, of using your product too as the prize instead of something, like you said, a meal, a cup of coffee. It's using your product because they are going to wear those. And I think, like you're saying, resort staff, for sure, there's turnover just because of the nature of that business. But I think just now everywhere, it's hard to maintain those employees, and you hope they will, but the reality is they may not be there, but they'll still wear your shoes.
They will.
And someone will still say, those are cute shoes. Where did you get those?
And especially with boutiques, you want the cute thing, and especially if you have an iconic item and you're someone who appreciates fashion, it's going to get worn.
Yes. Yeah.
I try to think back and stay humble about like the little moments of happiness when you win a prize, especially at work. Like you tell your coworkers and you're excited and you feel good with your boss for like saying, I did a good job.
Yes.
And knowing that that's happening at the store level and they're excited because of your brand, it's going to also help them sell it more. So, it is the little things. And it also helps like the buyers because they now have a newly engaged employee that maybe was losing interest for a while and might have a couple good weeks. And then they'll need something else. But it just helps in that way. And it keeps the buyer really able to, like you said, become a partner. And from my point of view, it also gives me another reason to call them, which is nice because sometimes I need another reason. So how's the contest going? Do you need any, other tips or what have you?
Just another touch point, right? Instead of just like calling to see if you want to place an order. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's great. Okay, so I would say, so to pull away, because I always like to keep pulling back the nuggets. So we've, you're talking about staying current was, TikTok, going live, and then really educating your partnership, and by educating those employees. And the best ways you found to do that QR code that shows the brand benefits, and then really getting the employees excited by offering, like you said, a contest, something that's going to motivate them to talk about the shoe, to wear the shoe. And then they'll feel proud when they win that. That's awesome. Are there any other things you guys have found that work on that? Or are these the ones that you guys are kind of targeting for right now as far as strategies?
Those are kind of what we're targeting right now. I would say the things that have worked in the past that we're continuing are definitely still targeted within collateral. So we updated like our hang tags and our hangers to be more brand specific. It definitely has a little like love note from our CEO, like XOXO Sarah, and has a little note about helping powerful women walk comfortably and some of the features there. And so if the employee is busy, the person can read the tag and see that. And we have, various, like our display rack, we can often ship for free, but it looks good and it's convenient for them. And we'll do occasionally like gift with purchase. So if it's like a gift, like reusable grocery bag, we've done wristlets that are waterproof so they can take their phone to the beach. Necklaces are really popular. And so having little gifts with purchase is just, I mean, they can retail them and some of them do, but it's just, it makes the marketing part of it easy on them. Because we'll supply
Right.
the imagery and the product, and they have to, meet the minimum of the order to get them, but it's new and fresh, and people like free things. So
yeah, and it adds value to your product for sure. Well, and I like what you said too about having like the letter from is it your CEO or your owner on there, and that's what we talk at the end of the day, especially, in women's apparel. You're like, there's so many shirts, there's so many dresses, there's so many shoes, there's so many bags. It's really that personal relationship, that story where they're identifying with your brand story is really making that difference in what they're purchasing. And then, like you said, how they're going to be able to sell it. Like these aren't just flip-flops. What's the story behind these? When you talk about empowering women, that creates a whole nother storyline there. So that's awesome. Maya, I feel like I've chatted so much. I'm going to let you take over a little bit. I think we kind of got through, some of her, educating retail partners with brand features. So hop in with any questions you have.
So yeah, we did want to talk a little bit about how you've been successful marketing your product. So what do you think your most successful marketing strategies have been, like getting your product in front of those boutiques?
So we've improved our social media in the last 2 years. I would say, like, it's really grown, and I would say with our boutique specifically, we've started really highlighting them. So some of our content, yes, it's photography we've done, or maybe it's influencers we might have partnered with, but we'll also like look at how cute these shoes are, but we tag the boutique and we feature the boutique in our stories. And it's just, we have our store locator, yes, but it kind of creates a little FOMO because a lot of our consumers work at boutiques or have an affiliation in some way. I mean, we're fashionistas when it comes down to it. And so I would say our strongest marketing is really, it comes into the basics with social, really featuring our partners in a way that's organic and not too forced. We did a spa feature, and we were just like, wouldn't you want to go here, and creating like FOMO to like want to go travel to Naples really quick or something like that. And so finding ways to highlight them, and that was really powerful. Not only if they don't already sell our products, they see someone else do it and they see it's doing well. Has been really good. We're working a little bit more on advertising. And so we're starting with that. And, I mean, when you get into Google SEO, I mean, that's not my forte at all, but I know that there are keywords and I know my analytics work. So definitely going to be prioritizing on that. And I would say one of our biggest and I wouldn't be able to speak to the investment of it, but finding a way to get your products in front of, whoever determines what goes on the O list for Oprah was also really good for us. Because, I mean, I don't know many people who don't admire Oprah and what she does. And she does typically recommend great brands. And the few times we've been on her list, not only do we get a lot of, conversation and communication by that from small and large companies that want to sell our products, but we can then tell our partners, like, hey, one of your brands is featured on the O list. Here's some collateral you can share with your customers. And so that one, I think, was a great avenue for us.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that.
So how did you get on the O list though? How did you get on there? I know, like, do you know the process? That's probably a secret that that's going to be the number one highlight of this video.
I can't say that I know. I know when we are featured, I'm pretty sure we send a variety of products for like applications. I'm sure there might be like an invitation to find somewhere where you submit products for review. I don't know if they ever send them back or what happens there. But we are typically featured when she's talking about women-led companies or Made in USA. So, and it's not, I think it's only happened twice in several years that Oka-B's made it. But when I've had a lot of people just call like, I saw your brand in Oprah's magazine. And that's been good. And it's so nice to be able to send that out and just say like, yeah, the brand you invested in or that you want to invest in is this good. So the FOMO is real.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Maya, I'll throw it back to you now because I just had to hear that. I wanted to know. I've always wondered how you got on Oprah's list. So thank you. This is like, it was one of life's mysteries to me. That's awesome.
Yeah, I really like how you talked about always, even in your social media, bringing it back to your partners with these boutiques and like always tagging them so that they get that traction as well. So right now, I was wondering, do you have anything exciting going on? Any new products? Any new promotions in the works for your brand?
We do actually, yeah. Well, we're working on our next year's collection, and that's always fun. But for this year, we're doing a few things that are new. We have two new gift with purchase promotions that'll be coming out with necklaces, and we typically inspire them from their top selling styles. And they're cute, they're simple. But one of the ones I'm excited about is we're updating some of our packaging to be more giftable, kind of like the perfect girlfriend gift. And so we're coming up with some cute little cards that'll go with, select styles, not all of them. But it just kind of completes just a cute little free thing that the shopper will enjoy and they can gift to their friends. And it has like cute little quotes, when life gives you lemons, get flip-flops or something. And so those are the big ones we have coming up. For like, we try to do a couple with Boutique Hub just to make it easier, especially getting into new stores, because hitting a minimum is not always simple. And it's hard when you're not at the trade show to like look and feel. So we typically will run like a no minimum or reduced minimum promotion periodically, just to help people who might be curious. And that's a nice to kind of get people excited for when your season's about to start, because January is when we hit the ground running. So,
well, quick question. So what is your normal minimums?
Yeah, normal minimum is 600.
Okay.
And so for some people it's a lot, especially if it's a small boutique, just to get that much in flip-flops without knowing. And some people they know that their shoppers will buy anything as long as they have it. So it's the reorder minimum is low. We keep the reorder at 150 so that it's easy for them to restock sizes. Because we find that when someone just has one or two size, like say a small and a large, they're not going to sell that style for a very long time. So people like to see the shelves full but not overfilled, just general consumers. So helping them in that regard. We are looking into seeing, like, would something like a referral program work out well, or something like, how to, like, a free shipping promotion, but if they like meet a minimum or refer a friend who doesn't carry our brand, like how does that happen? But
so kind of like an affiliate.
Kind of, yeah.
Trying to figure out how that would work.
And so it's a tricky one. I don't know that we're ever going to be able to find traction on it, but I'd love to hear ideas if it's worked well for anyone. But just knowing, like, from the employee point of view, when they move places and they want to bring us in, like, how do we keep that conversation? Like, is it at a trade show where you host like a happy hour, or like what is it? That's the tricky part, but I think in reality, it's not focusing on that venture. It's just continuously building the relationship so people want to talk with you naturally or talk about you or the brand. So I think that's what it will continue to come down to. But for this year, we're definitely focusing on gifting, keeping it bright and fun. I think people are all, we've done this together, and now we want to, celebrate together. Safely, what have you, but we want to be bright, fun, bold, comfortable. And so we're working as a brand to help make that easier.
Awesome.
I think one question that a lot of brands also have going off how you guys are not really seasonal, but can be seasonal. How do you structure your deliveries, as well as like adding new products at the same time?
Yeah, so we actually have a pretty cool strategy with this. It's one of the reasons why I love the brand itself is everything is made to order. And so that can seem daunting, but since we manufacture everything, it might be easier. We manufacture the shoes and then kind of reassemble them. So it's easy for us to create new product by kind of, maybe we take a pendant from a past season and put it on a new shoe and call it a different, like, design it differently. We have that ability, so it's a little easier there. But when it's off season for us, I want to say, like, we really just focus more on outreach, and how to like target areas that are less seasonal. We ship orders quickly, so we can set advanced ship dates, but that's one of the benefits. I mean, granted, this year we also had our challenges because staffing. I mean, it's the common thing even at our factory, and not everyone can make shoes, so it's tricky.
Right.
But once we get past that, we normally ship orders in 2 to 4 days. So
Wow.
it's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, what we really don't get a whole ton of advanced ship dates. I think more people will do it this year just to avoid possible delays after last year.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say maximum is about 3 months, and those are usually our stores that have multiple locations.
Yeah, I do think you're right. It is going to change the way ordering is done. It's just people are, I think we're now teaching everybody, plan in advance, get those orders in. But that's also nice to know that when it ships quick, because that's a tricky animal.
It is, and I think we're prioritizing a kind of we've never made product in advance, but we're gonna, use what we know, like what sells quick, and keep a minimum pre-made. And so that'll help us, even if we do find a time where we're short staffed or some of our team has to go and, make shoes rather than finish them, that we'll have more of that flexibility built in, and we can keep true to our promise. So definitely, I mean, if you have something that happens, it's really, how do you learn from it? Even if you've done the same thing for 15 years. So yeah, it's a piece, but making it work.
Awesome. All right. Well, we've got time probably for one more question. So Maya, you want to finish up with, our wrap up a little bit?
So our last question is, what's one piece of advice you would give to another wholesale business?
I think one piece of advice, and I've probably said it so many times on this call, but just really remembering why we got into it and keeping humble, because like you said, like, they're partners. They're not just, an account or a new account, and they're people, and we're ultimately helping one another. And keeping that, I think, especially at the start of each day, helps for, all the phone calls that you get when they don't have a time to talk to you, or, the order didn't go well and they're like upset about something. And it's easy to take those things personally, but I think if you remember that we're just in it to help one another, and, maybe not everyone is meant to sell your product, and that's fine, but it's asking the questions to see if they're the right person, the right fit, and then helping them from there. So say my biggest piece of advice in that regard is to remember why you started and keep your relationships personable, however way you can.
That's really good advice. So that applies both on the brand side and the boutique side. So you're right, just remembering why you started, and I think that's awesome. Well, I appreciate you joining us, and like I said, I will get this uploaded to our Facebook, and then I'm going to open it up to on Facebook for questions, and then we'll just tag you. I think there were so many great takeaways from this. Maya, I'm like, you think about yours. I'm gonna say my favorite takeaway from this probably was the part that you're doing the contest with the employees. I think that's awesome. That wasn't something that, usually when I've talked to other wholesale brands that I've really heard them doing. So I think that's a really good piece of advice there for our other brand partners. Maya, did you have something that stuck out to you?
I love a gift with purchase. So I love that you guys offer that. And I think that's a great selling point even for the boutiques as well. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being on here. Like I said, I will get it posted, and we'll share it with everybody. And I think the information that you shared with us today is going to be awesome for our wholesale brands and our boutiques as well. And just keeping in mind that idea that we're really all partnering together. So
yep, community
awesome.
over competition.